I want to know that why patients had a medical side effect. So I took all the medications that I gave to my patients and see what it's like. And I still think that you don't need stem cell treatment. If you take care of your own stem cells today, right here, right now.
We are in Thailand right now with who I consider the leading doctor when it comes to stem cells, Dr. Patana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for spending time with me today.
Yes.
We really want to bring the truth and the right information regarding stem cells out to the world. This is my stem cell journey. I feel privileged and honored to be with you right now and to receive your stem cells. I know that you get lots of questions regarding stem cells. I know there's a misconception around the world, especially in America, about stem cells.
Correct.
Could you please explain the different types of stem cells, all of the research that you've been doing, your background a little bit, and let people know the truth about stem cells?
First of all, when we talk about stem cells, let's say the misconception first. First of all, there's so many kinds of stem cells. So before you use it, you have to know that what kind of stem cell you use. You can have this cosmetic stem cells. You can have, actually this is nothing but growth factors. You can have a plant stem cells, animal stem cells, human stem cells. So start with what kind of stem cell you use. If they cannot answer, this means they don't know. And you need to know what kind of stem cell you use. And before you use it, usually right now, the stem cell that most people use, it's called MSC, mesenchymal stromal cells, okay, which is the cells. You can grow mesenchymal stromal cells from many sources. You can use placentas, use umbilical cords, use the amniotic fluid. You can use even menstrual blood. And you can use your own skin. You can use bone marrow. So which one is the best? That's the first thing that you have to do. And then another misconception is, we think the stem cell is like a God. You give it, it regenerates. If you don't have fingers, it's gonna grow another finger, which is wrong. Stem cell is just fix the body to make it easier. It's a small little guy, small little doctors that fix the body. If the body is totally bad, okay, they cannot do anything because they can fix maybe 10%, 20%. So it's more like the repairman to maintenance your body. So if you cannot walk for 10 years, lying on the bed, and you expect that one shot of stem cells will create something like a miracle effect, you are dreaming, and it's not true. Doesn't mean stem cell is not useful. It's useful, very useful. But you need to use as the right choice, add the additive effect to all other modalities and the mechanisms and methods in whatever your expertise is. This is alternative medicine, which is a holistic care of medicine.
How did you originally get into stem cells? What was it that really made you determined to start down this path? And being an innovator, like you are really innovating this technology around the world. What gave you that drive and passion?
It's a long road and it's a painful road. I used to work in a conventional medicine and I still am. And at the time, just like the stem cell story, I have to be the best, and they call me the best doctors, the best doctor. But then I was like depressed because what kind of doctor am I? I was a best doctor who cannot cure my patients. My patients running down. I'm a nephrologist and a kidney man, and I see my patients receive dialysis treatment one after another. I quit being a doctor for 10 years, and I searching. I went to schools in America. I graduated PhD in cell biology. And they came back. I tried a new way we call alternative medicine. I didn't start with the stem cell at first, but I start by adjust the diet. I throw the textbook away, keep the one I like, and throw away things I don't. Nutrition textbook, I just burn it. I start a new way of thinking. I start a new way of treating my patients. And you know what? That's when miracle happen. That's when my patients get better. I can tell my patients, I'm only one nephrologist, can tell my patients that stay with me. We help each other. I promise you, in this lifetime, you don't need dialysis machine. That's a better feeling, even though I have to remove myself out from the conventional medicine a little bit. Okay, even though my high profile became like the black sheep doctors, but the people who judge you is not senior doctors, it's not the faculties. People who judge you is your patients. If they love you, if you can help them, that's what's the answer. And then I realized, okay, when you do alternative medicines like you are doing, you have to come across stem cells somehow. And I'm a doctor, I'm a scientist, gonna have to find out what's going on here. And then after I read more and more, I want to know, how I start. I went to my friends, who is a hematologist, and they say, take my bone marrow. Don't be surprised. I took my bone marrow and have a small lab and start cultivate my bone marrow into the first stem cell called mesenchymal stromal cells. I always do that. I did the same thing in the medical field. I want to know that why patients had a medical side effect. So I took all the medications that I gave to my patients and see what it's like. If you love patients, you have to try that sometimes. Don't advise them to take medicine if you never take them yourself. So the first thing, I have my bone marrow raised into stem cell and inject to myself. See how does it feel? Nothing much. And then they think that at the time I was 50 years old. My cells are old. How can 50 years old cells can help 50 years old man? It's impossible. So I searched for something younger. And I came across something called umbilical cord cells. It came from the umbilical cord tissues, a part of the connections between mother and the baby. You know what? After the baby was born, these parts were thrown away in the trash. So we recycle them. We keep this umbilical cord, cultivate them into a new cells called mesenchymal stromal cells, and try them. Before I try to my patients, I have to try with myself first. And once again, if I die, I have to be the first to die. So I try, and it works. I'm 58 now to be exact, but I don't look 58 and don't feel like 58. So I've been done that for over 10 years. For 10 years actually. And when I started, they say about 50, but actually I was about 48 when I started. So it's been 10 years. And actually, it changed my life. It changed everything I think about the world of medicines, that we have the rooms to improve.
So you look amazingly young, and I know you've been using your own stem cells for a long period of time. How often do you actually use stem cells?
Actually, I do it once a year. But I like to tell everyone who thinks that stem cells can make you younger, actually you need all the methods. You need to be holistic. Okay, start by your food, diet, lifestyle, exercise, and supplements, and everything come together, and detoxifications before you're just about to have your stem cells treatment.
I totally agree. How many of your patients actually go through some sort of detoxification or lifestyle changes before stem cells, and how important is it for them to continue eating the right foods, drinking, avoiding all the chemicals and toxins moving forward?
I would say that everyone. Because of my reputations, people come in and, okay, doctors give me stem cell. I would say, the first thing I would say to them, no. Let me see you, let me tell you about whether you'll be a good candidate of it, because it's useless if you still, eating hamburgers and soft drinks and drink alcohols every day, smoke cigarette. That's a waste of money. You have to change your lifestyle first. And have a patient who want to use stem cell badly. He has a problem. He cannot walk. Okay, he cannot control his body movement at all for 2 years, and he's became suicidal. He think about killing himself. I look at his record. It turned out because he received too many medicines in the past. And actually medicine is one that prohibits cells to get better, body to get better. Medicine can be useful if you use at the right amount, right dose, and the right indications, but by taking so many medications, so I cut down the medications, and I tell him that allow yourself a chance, your own stem cell, to help you to get better. Of course, at the beginning, it's not going to work that way, so he's still coming and complaining, and I give him supplement, cut down his medications, and you know what? After a year, he walked to me and say, I think my stem cell has helped me. You're the best doctor, thank you so much. And I received this without stem cell so many times, and make me believe that I want to continue on this path. It's like when you watch the happy ending movies and you feel happy, right? But that's not a true story, but this is happy ending that happened right before your eyes, and that's how you'd help them. It's ecstatic.
It's amazing that you can actually create change in people's lives for the better. And there's no better feeling than that, when you can actually... So many people are caught in the medical system, and so many people are just given drugs, and so many people continue to decline because they're addressing the symptoms of disease and not the root cause of disease. One of the big issues in the United States is people still have kind of this negative feeling about stem cells, considering they think that stem cells still come from the fetus. Can you explain the difference between fetal stem cells versus the different types of MSC cells available?
Actually, we have stem cells throughout our life. So the youngest we have, we can start by when we were fertilized. Okay, the sperm meet an egg and become this fertilized egg. That starts the first stem cell, fertilized egg that nobody used. Okay, and then 7 days later, the scientists show the way that these 7 days old fertilized eggs can be extracted and cultivated into embryonic stem cells. So this is the first one, first of all. Then when the cells start to grow stronger and start to bury itself in the womb of the mother, if you extract them, it became fetus cells. And when the baby was born, the one I use is the umbilical cord cells. Okay, you can even use amniotic fluid cells in between. But the problem is about fetus cells and embryonic stem cells. The first issue is, in order to get it, we have to kill something. Okay, in case of the fetus cells, it's been the mother have to get abortion. So usually right now, if you get fetus cells, it has to come from animal. Even though someone feel uncomfortable about giving the abortions to animals and get these fetus cells. And because in certain law right now, the fetus cells that you get actually contain no cell at all. The cell has been dead to prevent transmitted disease from the fetus to human, from animal to human. So the fetus cell that we get right now is pretty much growth factor from fetus. Doesn't mean it's not useful, but its growth factor contain no cells, but it still may be working with this fetal growth factors or cytokines, biological proteins within it. Go back to the embryonic stem cell, this 7 days old fertilized egg. Some people consider that it's not ethical to use them. Okay, if you believe that this 7 days old fertilized egg has soul, so if you destroyed it, it's bad. I respect your belief, your faith, but make sure you have the reason. Okay, so that's the first reason. I don't want to hear someone say, they say it's bad, so it must be bad, because what is good or bad should be in our heart. You should know by itself, not someone tell you. So the reason they think it's bad, because they believe that 7 days old embryo has soul and life. Alright, and another problems about using embryonic stem cells is that people are afraid of the tumors. It's called teratoma effect. But if they look around, are you sure that when you give the embryonic stem cell in human, it develops into teratoma? You don't know, nobody take risk. But I heard, and that's true story, many people take that risk. And turns out not only they didn't develop teratoma, they feel better. I heard the stories of people who on the bed and getting better after receiving embryonic stem cells. So why there's teratoma and no teratomas? Because the scientists do this study in the skid mice, which is the mouse that has no immunity at all. So the rule is, if you want to inject stem cell, you need to make sure you have immunity, something to protect yourself against the stem cells, because otherwise embryonic stem cell will grow wide, uncontrolled, uninhibited. And also another problem is some people, the studies have been closed down because they inject this embryonic stem cell in the spinal cord. They try to help people who have a spinal cord injury, but the spinal cord area is just like immunoprivileged, no immunity can get in. So the patients develop teratoma within the spinal cord. So keep in mind, if you can find first the source of embryonic stem cells, you need to have a strong immunity, and you cannot inject it into the area of immunoprivilege, which means your immunity should be able to control yourself and protect yourself from it. But to play it safe right now, most of the scientists use something that I use, which is umbilical cord cells, which is called MSC. It stands for mesenchymal stromal cells. That's what they use now. You can grow mesenchymal stromal cells from umbilical cords. You can grow them from bone marrow, from fat cells that you know that's called adipose tissue cells. You can grow them from even menstrual blood, okay, and dental pulp. You can grow them from your skin. The study now show that the best source is umbilical tissue. Why? Because it's the youngest, as simple as that. Because it's only 9 months old, it's youngest, it's naive, it's new, it has more anti-inflammation power than other sources of MSC. That's how I do.
That sounds perfect. That was actually, you answered my question, because there's confusion about the MSC cells and around the world of what MSC cells are you getting. People are going for stem cell treatments and they're not actually telling them if they're getting the MSC from amniotic, or if it's from the Wharton's jelly, or if it's from the umbilical, or if it's from the placenta. Do they have the MSC from placenta as well?
Yes, but you see, there's a many sources of MSC. Just because the study using bone marrow doesn't mean you cannot use MSC from a better source. Mm-hmm. Why the most study use bone marrow? Because bone marrow growing to cultivate into MSC has been a good source, because some people collect bone marrow for 1,000 years. So I think convenience should not be the reason which stem cell you should use. The study shows that the MSC from umbilical cord is probably the best and the strongest. And you talk about the placentas. Actually, placenta MSC and umbilical cord MSC is the same. You see, the placenta is a tissue within the umbilical sac, and that turns into the umbilical cord. Well, let's say if you have a plastic bag and you put something inside and you make the pictures of placentas and umbilical cord, you cannot tell the plastic bag that come from the cord has a lowest quality than the plastic from the bottom, because it's the same plastic sheet that grow into MSC, so it's the same thing, okay? And the problem about placenta is kind of dirty. You're not gonna get clean MSC. It will take you a while to wash it and wash out, because there's so many kinds in it.
So you would say, out of everything, with all of your research, you like the strongest would be from the Wharton's jelly?
Correct.
That would be the Lamborghini of stem cells.
Depends on how you define the strongest. If you're talking about the growth rate, amniotic fluid, MSC, which is younger, okay, in terms of growth rate, it has the highest growth rate. But doesn't mean it's the best. Put it this way, when you collect amniotic fluid, you need to have indications to tap amniotic fluid of the mother, so it come from the aging mother, start from the host, is wrong. To get the good umbilical cord MSC, I would select only healthy mother, no pregnancy has no complications, young, no infections rate of any kinds. But if you get the amniotic MSC, you get it from aging mother. So starting material is not right. So that's a problem. Doesn't mean that amniotic MSC is not stronger than umbilical cord MSC, but to obtain that, you risk the mother health. So you need to wait until you have indication which is the mother is old. Besides the one they use amniotic fluid right now, they don't need to tap any more amniotic fluid because most of these lab has already amniotic fluid collections. Some people have like a 50 years old amniotic fluid. They can grow into MSC, but it may not be working because it's been frozen and in a mummified for a long time. Umbilical can be done reasonably, fresh, and no ethical issues involved because it's something you throw away anyway. You can keep it clean and everything.
So that's a good point that you make. And you made the point of screening. How do you know, or what guidelines are put in place around the world to ensure that you actually are getting good cells from the umbilical and the mother wasn't a drug user or didn't have a bunch of chemicals and toxins and endocrine disrupting chemicals and stuff like that in the cord?
Of course, it starts by selecting mothers, and you have to trust your friends, which is the obstetricians, to select the right mother for you. Okay. And then after that, it's more important that when you move these umbilical tissues and try to cultivate into the MSC, you make sure that your growth factors and whatever cultivation rooms and everything has to be perfect. When I raise my MSC, I can drink that things that I pour in. I can eat the things that I put and feed myself. I can even inject them into my body and I feel okay. But the one that they use entire world, most lab use, if you inject into yourself, you may have kidney failure, you may have cancer. Like I said, if you want to give the right thing, you have to try it yourself. So the culture media that I use is so clean that you can drink it. And it contains no animal products. Doesn't mean it be vegetarian though. The problem is this animal-free product right now has been an issue. They call it the xeno-free product. But they don't use xeno-free product in terms of growth factors because you see this is a technique. This is the secret a little bit. The product that growth factor you use, there are three kinds. The first one that most people use is the fetus blood. Cow's blood. Well, you take risk of getting infections from cows. I don't use that. The second one is called recombinant growth factors. It's artificial, sounds good, right? But turns out you can put one growth factor and the cell will keep growing but not doing anything. You need a mix of the growth factors. And I think the whole world agree now it's no longer a secret, but most people still don't use it. I use platelet. So the platelet come from human. You can screen it. It can be sterile. It's a human source, and it's the best growth factors. People in the field know that I'm right.
So you just gave away your secret to all
just one secret,
just one
but
secret.
The rest of it I wouldn't.
So I know you're a pioneer in this stem cell cultivation. I've heard that there are stem cell labs out there that you can only reuse like 4 times in a row, right? Can you explain how that whole process works when you're culturing stem cells?
That's a funny thing is people say that they try to advertise for commercial purpose. They will try to say that you have to use a passage 1 or passage 0. Passage 1 is the best passage. There's no such thing as passage 1. If they say they can give you passage 1, they lie to you. Put it is, what is passage 1? Okay, in my case, when you put the umbilical tissue, dirty, nasty, mixed cells into the petri dish, that's the passage 0. And just you grow it for a few days, the number of cells still low, and you change everything, you change the petri dish, that's the passage 1 which is not clean, it's not ready to use. And then I've tested a lot. I found that it has to be at least passage 5 before it's ready to expand and grow. The growth rate will be fast around passage 5 to passage about 10 or 11. And after that, the growth rate is lower, telomere gets shorter. So we don't recommend to use after passage 20. But what happened that people use the commercial cell, the frozen cells, from something that's not supposed to be used in human. And they start counting that as number 1. So what happened is passage 1 can be passage 30 or something. So believe me that to me, I'm sincere. Passage 1 is for people who have knowledge and cultivate cells themselves. You cannot use passage 1. The cells are not ready. Has to be around passage 5. That's the truthful stories.
How many cells can you get out of one umbilical? Like, I know that's a long process because you have to screen the mother, and go through all that. It must take all your time. I mean,
If you have money and space, you can get like 1,000 millions. You can get billions
off of one placenta.
Yeah,
you were talking also about the viability of stem cells.
Yes.
And people in a lot of clinics around the world are using frozen, dead stem cells. Can you, like, how do people know if they're getting really good live stem cells?
Thank you for asking, but I will not reveal the secret of how can I do it. Okay, one thing I'm proud that my technique is my cells will stay alive for 72 hours or more. Okay, even at room temperature. Okay, they die a little, but it's not just disappear. Most cells, we don't do it right. It starts by you don't give them the right kind of media. They cannot be healthy. Okay, that's the first thing. And then you put it in the freezer, they die. And then you take it frozen and you try to sell it to someone, you try to give it. Frozen cells are dead cells. Not 100% dead, but maybe 80% dead. So right now, everybody knows when you get these frozen cells, you need to reculture them, give them a day to grow back into the growth phase. Then they feel better and they start to continue. And even so, when the doctor uses it, sometimes they receive the cells that already 50% dead. And worse than that, because this cell, if you don't do it right, they will die quickly. At the beginning, when I do my testing and run, we talked about 10 years ago, my cell would die almost completely within 8 hours. But now I say 72 hours still going because I changed the technique, I changed everything, okay? So the best way to do, first, if you get the frozen cell, it's dead cells. Okay, if frozen cell is dead cell. So my cell is not supposed to be frozen because some people think that cell is like chicken, you have to keep everything frozen. Nope, you can keep at room temps, but cold. Not in Thailand, which is very hot. So you can keep it in the refrigerator, but not frozen. Okay, 10 Celsius is fine. Second, if you receive frozen, it's dead. And second, if you're not so sure it's dead or alive, you put small little drops into the slice and look under microscope. You should see the cells running and perfectly fine. But one thing you will know that the cell is dead. Okay, the cell should be slightly cloudy but movable in the liquid. But it's getting a sticky like a glue, it means they're dead. Because when the cell is dead, the DNA will come out and create the stickiness feeling about it. So if your cells look like sticky rice, you don't have to put it under the microscope, they're dead already. But it doesn't mean that dead cells not work at all. Live cells work better than dead cells. But they still work because when these cells come into your lung, it will be ingested by macrophage and white cells in the lung and create anti-inflammatory effects. Okay, kind of funny, but they still work, but live cells work better.
So I've talked to some people in the United States, doctors in the United States, and they say, oh, stem cells, if you get an injection, within minutes, like 80-90% of them are already dead. They all go to the lungs, and it's not, it's really not worthwhile. I mean, is there any truth to that at all?
Yes, when you inject the cell, the first location to go to the lung. And what happened is the action starts right there. I said before, the white cell will come in and recognize these cells. They start to eating this cell, and suddenly all this inflammation they start making stop. So they still work by sacrificing themselves to be eaten. The second thing is the cells that left over will move along to the heart and start to repair all the blood vessels and anti-inflame. You want to have the cells working, you have to seduce them with heat. For example, you want your face to be glowing and brighten. When you inject your cell, fire heat pad over to keep your face heat up. Use laser technique. Your cell will, some of them will grow and travel to your face. You want your brain to be heat up? By the way, you have fevers and then the cell go to brain. Yes, the cell, most of them die, but some of them remain. And to say it's not working, you have to look at the effect that you have when you give it to the patients. And look, one person can tell you, the people who have experience, and the patients can tell you. So when you ask that it work or not working, don't ask doctor who never used stem cells, because they don't have experience. Everything comes from the textbook, but the real thing is different. Let me tell you the stories about the doctor who used stem cells to treat the disease called osteogenesis imperfecta, osteogenesis imperfectus in St. Louis. You know what? When he inject the cell, these cells, this MSC, can transform itself into bones and cartilage. So he thought that would be the mechanism. But turns out that all the cells that he injected eventually die and never change into a new bone cell for the patient. But the effect is the patient is getting better. This is a congenital disease that their bones can be broken forever. So if it works, it works. But you have to look for. Until now, I don't think he knows the mechanism. And he don't understand why you inject stem cell, which are already dead, but the patients get better. You cannot deny that, right? But the answer is, okay, let me send it to the St. Jude Hospital. These cells make collagen. And the basic mechanisms of people who have osteogenesis imperfecta is they cannot make good collagens to make a stronger bones. So the cell doesn't have to do anything, just make collagen. And every year you come back and inject them again. And the cell will make collagens and make collagen and make collagen to keep the bone stronger. There's a lot of mechanisms, okay? Their cells can be working too. And not all of them dead. They're still functioning before they passed away.
How often do you think is a good time frame to receive stem cells? I mean, they're still working 6 months later. Do you think people should come back every 6 months, once a year for, let's say, rejuvenation? Aside from lifestyle, I totally agree 100%. All disease starts from the toxic food, beverages, air, and everything like that. But
for the anti-aging purpose, I recommend it once a year. But I don't push them, okay? It's up to them. Because sometimes, but I disagree if someone wants to have it once a month, it's too much. I have a patient have multiple sclerosis and she could not walk. She would have it and 9 months she would come back. So it became like every 9 months she start having symptoms again. Okay, so she prepared herself. She purchased a trip to Japan and then she has stem cell, and because she know after that she would go on to the trip. And been going on every year. So she receives stem cell every 9 months. So that's reasonable too, but not every month. Yes, 9 months to 12 months is fine. Okay. But the problem is most people will wait until they're really at the end of the road and looking forward to stem cell treatment and expect for miracle. Like today, before I met you, someone asked me about that, and I said, don't. It's too late. Okay. And before you use stem cells, drugs can be the problems. Like these patients under the coma and receive a lot of drugs, receiving a lot of even anti-epileptic drugs. I say if you don't remove the drugs and you expect that stem cell can help you anything, it won't. You won't be able to fight against the effect of drugs. So that has to come first.
I know you travel and you lecture everywhere, and your process that you've developed, your culturing process, is very innovative. Are you teaching anybody that, or is that your own specific secret patented method or anything like that? Or
no, I'm not. I train people how to have the knowledge about stem cells correctly. I train them actually not to use it, but if you use it wisely. I train them about all the holistic approach, okay, lifestyle and all. But in terms of the technique, I would not. Okay, there's a That's in the past. People asked me to train, and I train them from the beginning. And they try to launch a company, and they sell stem cells into market, which is a poor quality one, which I regret. So I will not do that again. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I opened the training, but don't be surprised. I'm not going to review any secret, not because it's a secret, but I don't think you can handle it the way I do, because first of all the media that I use costs a lot of money. I don't use low grade or anything. Okay, I use expensive one, the best I could find. But most companies, they want to make money, so they use something that shouldn't be used in human. And also, even I went to all the stem cell meetings in this world. I listened to them. I think they didn't do the right directions, but who am I to tell them? I just keep my secret and be humble.
I know that you're constantly improving, and you're constantly looking at different ways to culture, because you said that you've gotten better and better and better over the years. What is on the horizon for you? Like, what are you seeing 5 years from now, or what do you have in the back of your mind that you're thinking of? And you know that I've heard that 3D printing of organs in the future. What is your 5 years from now? What do you see as far as stem cell technology? Do you see reversal of disease? Do you see regeneration of organs?
Actually, no. I'm sorry to tell you that. Because 5 years from now, I will be very old. Right now, there's some people who want to buy my technologies. I may sell them and be done with it. And I can, spend my time in Maldives or somewhere being happy. Because, no, I'm kidding. I'm a doctor. And I have to be a doctor throughout my life. And I still think that you don't need stem cell treatment. If you take care of your own stem cells today, right here, right now. I start with your correct nutritional advice, because right now if you read nutritional textbook, it's pretty much wrong. I think it's like a religious textbook. Okay, you have to believe it without any reason. That's wrong. You have to reduce the number of medication you receive. I have patients who are 100 years old, over 90 years old. I think I have aging patients more than any doctor in this hospital. And none of them use stem cells actually, or only a few of them use stem cells. But they live long, and most of them, they don't use too many drugs. Okay, not many medications, that you have to understand. And lifestyle, exercise is the must. And when you need to leave the world, you have to understand. Anti-aging medicine doesn't mean that you have to live forever. But you need to live in good health. It means increase your health span and reduce the time that you will lie on your dying bed as least as possible. My mom, she has Alzheimer's. There's no reason to hold on to her, but she feels fine when she has Alzheimer's. And when she gets sick 4 days and she passed away, she still have her last meal before she go back to bed, sleep, and then will wake up. That's what I want, and I believe that what most people want.
Can you touch on real fast, talking to you and with your technology that you've developed, one question I get is, well, I would like to get stem cells for multiple different reasons, whether it's heart, diabetes, or whatever. And we always say, make sure that we're along the same lines of lifestyle as everything. I mean, detoxification, it's the root cause of why you're sick, is the main reason you're feeling bad. But where do people start when they're looking, if they want to get stem cells? Because there's a big push for clinics in Mexico. There's clinics in Germany. There's clinics in China. There's clinics popping up everywhere. And there's big seminars taking place in the United States. And everybody's saying, well, we have the best stem cells. Like, what questions do people ask, and how do they choose where to go? How do they know if they're going to get really good stem cells?
Well, usually people who want to use it know my name and they come and talk to me. I cannot talk bad things about other companies. Have no right to say that. All I can say is you can do two things. First, if it's frozen, they're dead. Second, you can look under the microscopes whether you have cells, actually have cells. And the third, if you have the machines called viability countings, you can try that. There's a manual method as well, but to make it easy for you, when I deliver my cells, every lot, it comes with the certificate of viability test. I mean, anytime it comes out, I have a viability testing. So you can say, oh, why don't you have a control? Why FDA doesn't have control so you can have a standard cell? It's not possible because you know why? Because all the rules and regulations actually is controlled by people who want power and money. So it all's done with a commercial purpose. So they're gonna push your cell, and sometimes they don't have the right reason to do so. So I think that anyone who wants to use stem cell need to be smart, need to know, okay, an easiest way to know is to see if it's frozen, if it's not frozen. If they order today and they get it right away, it's unlikely to be good cell because the good cell need to be prepared at least a day, okay, in advance, okay, or 2 days in advance before you can get it. So that's one reason. Okay, they may be able to put it under microscope, but they have to trust the doctors. If the cells are dead, then it's useless to give. But I cannot say anything about other players and other companies. I'm sorry.
Well, I totally understand that. Is there any side effects that people need to be worried about, or any health concerns receiving stem cells?
Very little. The one I found is at the beginning, we put these cells in certain solutions and we had some allergic reactions. Not every one of them, and turns out that it probably become from not because of the cell itself, because of the solution we put in, so we changed it now. Allergic is rare, very rare, because this cell is anti-inflammation, so it has no allergic reactions at all. One thing we found that if you inject too much, most of the cell will go to the lung. So if the small lady with the small lung, she can have some feel like she cannot breathe. So we asked her, everyone who received them, to stay put, don't go singing karaoke song or stay out to the party. They just stay at home. It's not time for dancing, and then lie on the bed if it's possible. No exercise on that day. And it should be fine, because sometimes when you put a lot of cells, millions of cells to the lung, they can have problems about breathing, especially some people who already have the problems. Other than that, I don't see any problems at all. Okay.
Is there a maximum number, like 60 million per session, that people should get?
I'm glad that you asked, because most studies use 1 million cells per kilogram. So I don't know why they set up that numbers, and now people try to follow. Don't do it with my cells. You see, most of the cells they use is like 80% dead and 20% alive. So when they say 1 million cells per kilo mean nothing, we mean 0.2 or 0.1 or maybe 0, because most of the cells are already dead. They use dead cells, so it's easy. But if you look at the real MSC good quality under microscope, the cell is quite big and strong, so you cannot inject that much. I don't recommend anything more than 30 millions because it would clog up in your lung. But the reason that most people don't have problem because they use dead cells, so there's nothing in it. And the study shows as well that more cell doesn't do anything better.
Is it possible to order stem cells from you in the United States? I mean, can people, or do you have to be a doctor, or can people actually? I
don't know about the law in the United States. So if we go through it and say, I don't know, you have to find a way to get it in. But usually one law, but not one law, one rule of the world is the same, that people, which is patients, have the right to treat themselves for the unmet medical needs. It's the only way that you bypass the law. So if the patients want it, okay, they can have it. They have to find a way to have it, because the patients, everyone has the right to treat themselves. So you have to make sure the patients are doctors, not licensed one, because they're going to treat themselves. If the patients request anything possible, but you have to make sure that it is safe for your patients. And so far, why I know it's safe, I told you, I gave everything to myself first. If someone gonna get hurt, it has to be me, not anybody else first.
If someone was to order them in the United States and ship them over there, they would maybe ship in ice packs, but not frozen, but just to keep them kind of cool.
Yes.
And ship them overnight, and that way they would still be viable.
They can ship at room temps. If it's because you put in this air conditioning room is fine. They live just fine. Just don't freeze them. I wouldn't say that it's legal, but it's not my concerns because it's what you use. So,
what is your experience with stress and anxiety and depression, as far as, there's more and more research coming out that's almost more damaging on the body than eating unhealthy and everything else. It all comes into play. But 8 out of 10 people in the United States now are pretty much living in a sympathetic state all the time. They're not sleeping. They're stressed out. The negative news, the negative this, the negative that, and the diet and water and everything being poisoned. Have you noticed that even with stem cells, that there's 1 or 2 things that could really neutralize those stem cells or neutralize any type of chemicals or toxins that someone could consume? Alcohol may be one. You talked about smoking as another one. The cause of a lot of these degenerative illnesses or anything, the most important thing someone should not do after they receive stem cells.
Stress is one of the major factors that they call 6 factors of aging. There's an oxgo into acid and stress, 6 factors. Ox is oxidative stress. Simple, if you want to reduce oxidative stress, okay, you can take antioxidant, but start by eat less. Eat less, you make less oxidative stress. Goal in this case is glycation, this means sugar. Tell yourself sugar is toxin, sugar is toxin. I always tell my patients that tell me sugar is toxin. And then in is inflammation and infections. Reduce inflammation by use right kind of oil, omega-9 and omega-3, cut down omega-6 and animal fat, and also exercise regularly. 2 is toxins. Okay, you have to understand the world is filled with toxins. Chelation if you must, if you need that, but most of the toxin come from food. If you eat toxic food, microwave food, processed food, then you get toxin. Acid is another problem. Soft drink is acidic. Okay, reverse osmosis water is acid. Too much sugars, too much acid. Too much animal meat is acid. And finally, stress is one of the 6 factors. You need to have stress, otherwise you are not human. But how can you cannot let the stress control you, but that's a different subject of all. If you can fix these 6 problems that you have, okay, not completely, but usually before I use stem cells, I ask them about these 6 factors, oxgo into acid and stress, and then you can start thinking about stem cell treatment.
Is there anything else that you give the patients or the doctors that you provide your stem cells to give the patients, like growth factors or vitamins or anything like that would enhance or protect the stem cells?
Usually stem cell needs growth factors, okay, but in case of MSC we already have growth factors we put in when they grow them, which is a platelet. Okay, but the platelet cannot be applied systemically because it will cause fibrosis. But you can do it under the skin. You can do intradermal injection with this platelet extract. The other growth factors we can use, first is the placenta extract. Placenta contains a lot of growth factors for the bodies and all. And also some people use the fetal extract. I don't have that one. So when you ask me about how can I foresee the improvement of the MSC stories, I need to find a good quality fetal extract. And in this case, of course, this comes from animals because it's unlikely that we're going to get abortion and get fetal extract from human, even though some countries do have that. Let's say we get it from animals in terms of good quality fetal extract. That's what we can give it to the patients as well.
Is there anything else that you would like to add regarding any topic as far as aging is concerned, or degenerative disease, or stem cells, or any advancements that you're involved in right now, or anything that you just like the general public to know? That we
General
haven't
public
covered?
need to know. One thing I always tell my patients, you are the best doctor for yourself. So when I told you the stories that my patients getting better, there's a lot of stories to be told if I want to tell you. Part of it because the patients, not me. I'm help them, I give them advice, but they follow, that's why they're getting better. So we meet each other halfway. So the doctor need to respect the patients a little bit, ask what they need, what they want. Someone tell me that why you don't believe in the lecturers, the teachers, the faculties. I say, I do, but my true teacher is my patients. That's how I learn. I learn from my patients. If they get better, that means my method is right. I can forget any textbook in the world. So the patients is the most important to you. Tell them they are the best doctor. Remember that they are the teacher. And you cannot be a doctor if they don't think that you are. They give you career, right? So the patient is the real teacher to you. The patient will save you and protect you. I don't have problems about law or anything. I'm not sure after the interview I might, but first I don't advertise myself. Okay. And the second is the patients never complain about my method. They don't complain if they get better. So love your patients and they will help you.
That's great. That's great. What about all the other doctors around here? Do they really accept you and come to you for training and learn from you? Or do they think that you're like the black sheep over here in the corner? Because in America, we've been, especially myself, ridiculed by the standard medical system, and because we're a threat to understanding. And we even go to the patient's house and look at their lifestyle and look and see if they have mold and go through their cabinets and teach them about proper eating habits and sleeping habits and stress reduction habits. Exactly what you're talking about. The lifestyle is the cause of the health problems. Do you get that over here as well, or what is the general feedback from your colleagues?
I got that a lot. 10 years ago, it's been tough. But fortunately, I have a reputation in the past. I was like a top in the class. I was the top of the board examinations. I have 2 board certifications. So I have my own standing point. But for some doctors who actually walk out from MDs and start doing alternative medicines, it's difficult for them, I understand. But like I said, the patients come first. Mm-hmm. They stand today because they help patients. So they can be ridiculed by other doctors, but the patients will not ridicule them. And you know what? After 10 years, what happened is, sooner or later, those doctors who ridicule you would become patients, and they could not find a way out, and they think about you. And you is the point you can change their mind. I have done that throughout 10 years. I have kidney failures. I don't want to get into dialysis. Please help me. And once you save them, they will tell you their friends and everything. Every week I have new patients waiting. And some of them are doctors. Some of them have a daughter or sons who are daughters. Children are doctors. So it will change if you use one rule. The patient first, and they will protect you. So no one can harm you because you keep the patients first. Not commercially, but for their own sake. Not for your own commercial reason, but for their good health. So keep the patients. And you see, I have done this we call heat anti-aging, okay, for many years. It's international meeting. And every year we see new doctors coming in, skeptical, want to know what is about anti-aging medicine, and more are coming in. And once they come in, they never leave. So we don't go around and fight and build the enemies. We want to have friends. Okay, not all of them became our friends. Okay, it's hurt. It's hurt. I went to one meeting. They asked me to talk about supplement in cardiovascular diseases. Before my talk, I was having lunch with a group of doctors. He doesn't know that I'm a speaker. And one of the guys said, "Oh, stupid subjects. Supplement is bad. We need to use drug. Who invite this guy to speak? Blah, 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 blah." And he said, "I will not listen to this guy. It wastes my time. I'm leaving now."
And he didn't know it was you?
He doesn't know it's me who's gonna give a talk. But I'm glad he walked out, because I went upstairs and give a lectures, and most of my lectures became successful. And I hope that every time I give a lectures, I can change people's attitude. And I believe that, because I see new faces, doctors coming in to my meeting. Like the first 3 years ago, someone come in and help me. And next I advise him. And then next year he come and say, "Thank you. I feel better. My kidney turns back to normal now."
You're amazing, and thank you so much for your contribution to the world and to health and to teach. The definition of a doctor is really a teacher.
That's correct.
And the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm.
Correct.
Which is, more doctors need to live by that statement. So I really appreciate you spending all the time. I know you're extremely busy. I'm wondering how you even have time for anything with all the patients and then all your stem cell culturing. But anyway, I really appreciate you spending time with us. Thank you so much.